We lost Mara and Sarah Ter Reb Chaim Kנייbsky's Chus Yogan Aleinu. Avada, there are so many people who have spoken about him, but for us in this room and for parents who are struggling with chinuch issues and way out of chinuch issues, he left us a lot of information. So I just want to share some of the things that I know about that he said that we can keep with us. In Minchas Torah number 259, he said, Ein shum heter levazos oy lahalav yeled. There is no heter to embarrass or to degrade a child. All the rules of Bein Adam L'Chaveroi apply to our relationship with children. There's no heter to shame or insult a child. And he issued an instruction that the concept of not shaming children must be a central topic of educational speeches to parents and educators. This is very interesting because for some reason, parents and teachers, some parents and some teachers sometimes think that a child is a kid. So you can embarrass him. You can do things, let's say for chinuch, you can do chinuch in front of other people, but you're not allowed to. Even if you have to do some kind of chinuch intervention on the child, but you have no right to embarrass him in front of the siblings. He has feelings, and a child's feelings are a human being's feelings. Part of being a child is he's going to grow up, and if his feelings are damaged, he's going to be a damaged adult. So we have to remember this. Chinuch there's a lot of chinuch, a lot of different ways of doing chinuch, but hurting a child in any way is not part of chinuch. Not for parents and not for mechanchim. At the 10th chinuch meeting of Shvat 5776, when Mar Reb Chaim was asked, how should one deal with bachrim who are far from being involved in learning? And he answered, parents must daven and continue to daven, and the mechanchim too must daven for them. That's how you deal with kids who are not interested in learning. Tefillah and tefillah and tefillah, as he said many times. In Laseis Imunu L'chanech Ba'ahava, page 121, Hachinuch tzarech liyos mitoich dugma ishis v'loi b'kfiyah. Now this is very important. Chinuch must be accomplished by setting a personal example and not with pressuring or force on the child. Now what does this mean? Reb Chaim was not this modern day, right, kind of new agey kind of thing. Reb Chaim was the Gadol Adar of a connection to the Chazon Ish and Stipler of the Chazon Ish, and this was serious. This was real serious people. And when it comes to chinuch, he says the chinuch is on yourself. He's changing it. We think chinuch is pressuring the child. He says chinuch is pressuring yourself. The better that you are, the better your children will end up being. Unless there's, trauma and things that make them whatever, but the normal chinuch, right? So it's such a change. People go ahead and they behave, right? And then they pressure their child. Daven better, learn better, right? Be nicer, gamzu l'toiva on the child. He says, no, chinuch is dugma ishis. Be that personal example. Work on yourself. V'loi b'kfiyah. Don't pressure your children. And there were stories, Reb Chaim's telling us, many cases that there were children who went off the derech. Because their parents damaged them to the extent that they mamish went off the derech. Because their parents pressured them and forced them to behave properly. No. Anybody knows does that? No, you have to. That's called pressure. And people think, well, that's our job. Says Reb Chaim Kנייbsky. No, it's not. It's not part of chinuch. Pressure is not part of chinuch. Va'al pi roiv, says Reb Chaim, usually, most of the times, and neveya mimasha hoyim tzadikim, comes from the parents that they're tzadikim, they're holy, they're righteous. V'roitzim shegam b'neim yu tzadikim kamoisam, and they want their children to be also holy and righteous. It's not coming because of shlecht. It's not coming because they're bad people. They're tzadikim, and they connect to Hashem by davening mamish. They love it, and they want their kids to also connect to daven. They love learning Torah. They want the children also to learn Torah. V'roitzim shegam b'neim yu tzadikim kamoisam v'ayidei zeh hayolodim misrachakim ve'einam roitzim l'shmaya. But the cause of the way that they do this, that they go to somebody who's not interested. The parents at tzaddikim, they're interested. They want it. They go to a kid who's not holding by that. Real chinuch is to make them want it. That they didn't do. The kid doesn't want it yet. Either they didn't get the right chinuch or the kid's not mature, whatever it is. So then he doesn't want it, so they pressure. Pressure causes the opposite of the desired effect, and the children get pushed further away from wanting to daven and learn. So the parents ruin their own outcome of what they wanted for their children. Maybe next year the kids would have wanted to learn a daven, but now because of the pressure, it might take another few years, or maybe never. As we know, there are many stories. Many, many stories. This tragic mistake comes from not thinking rationally. The parents don't understand. You cannot educate children this way. When you are pressuring children, when you pressure the child, and you, how do you say kaifen aleim? Force them. What? Impose on them that they must. Communism. Right? You achieve masigim teitzah afucha. You achieve the opposite result. Shayeled and he writes a little moed and he writes a little. He loses interest. You took out the battery. You took out his energy for wanting to do it. Your job is to make them want. I'm thinking of all different stories and all different things to add to this, but I want to keep this just about what Reb Chaim taught us. Kunshus chanoich lenar, it says, Kama sheyoser torchim mishvil hayeladim. The more you invest in your children, kach yizku lirvois mehem yoser nachas. The more that you invest, the more nachas you will see from them. And certainly all of you parents are investing more into one kip than people do for 100 kids. So that should be a schus for you that you'll see nachas from them. Ami Magazine, July 2015. The children who go off the derech are the meis mitzvah, the forgotten dead of our generation. The reward for caring for these kids who are lost and suffering is enormous. He also said, Maran addressed people's concern that they're going to lose out either in the chinuch of their own children or in their own spirituality by being mekar of other people. It's a very big point. People say, I'm going to go bring other people into my house. My kids are going to lose out. Or I'm going to lose out. I'm going to be exposed to hearing or seeing things that I'd rather not, or I'm going to lose time from Torah. Reb Chaim said clearly that not only will you not lose out, but you will gain tremendously. Quote, whoever helps be Mekar of Hashem's children will be saved from Tsar Gidol Banim. The video of Leiv Shemea organization, there's a video of this. Maran was asked. There are Avreichim, I showed this here in the training. Avreichim who learn in Koil all day, they also learn in the evening. However, they also can use their time at night to mentor and be mechazik struggling boys. What option is preferable for their Avodas Hashem, for the Avodas Hashem of these Avreichim? What should they do at night? Should they go ahead and they should learn for themselves Torah? These are good, this is Bnei Brak. They're learning for real. Or should they give up of their own Torah to go ahead and work with boys on the street? Reb Chaim asked them to bring a chumash, and he did what's known as the Gairil Hagra, where he opened up randomly, which means that besides for the Seichel Hayashar and the Das Torah of the Gadol Adar, it's even more. This is close to Nevuah. This is tapping into something which is on next level. Mamish hearing Urim V'Tumim. And he opened up, and he studied the page, and then he raised his holy head and he said, Beis, Bachor. It's more important to help struggling boys at night than to learn Night Seder. Sefer Derech Sicha, Parshas Shlach, Omid Tov, Lamed Aleph. V'niyu beinenu kechagavim v'chein hayinu beinehem. The Torah tells us in Bamidbar that we felt so small, we were like tiny grasshoppers, and this is how they viewed us. And many Sfarim bring out from this pasuk, the way it says, we felt like grasshoppers, in our own eyes we were like tiny grasshoppers, so say many Sfarim, right, that when you have a low self-image, low self-esteem, and you feel like a grasshopper, like a nobody, then the result is that's the way other people are going to look at you as well. So then in Derech Sicha it says, for Maran, Chaim Kנייbsky, it's hard to say that. The name of Mart Chaman, Zatzal, that the opposite is also true. He says, look what happened by Rebbe Kiva. And you'll hear why this is very TP related. Rebbe Kiva was 40 years old, right? And he said, I would bite Talmud Chacham. He hated Torah. 40 years old. People would say, okay, at 40 years old, too late, right? I get calls about, oh, my kid's 30, my kid's 35, is there any hope? Rebbe Kiva was 40. And what did he do? Va'azva hakol. He left his whole previous life. Why? I'm sorry. Va'azva hakol. But there was a woman, and she was a rich girl, and she could have married anybody that she wanted. She had anybody in the world, but she went ahead and she said, no, I believe in you. I believe in you. I'm willing to lose everything for you. I won't give up on you no matter what they tell me. She got cut off from her father, Nebuch. She was so poor. I'm not even going to say what they tell us what she had to eat. But what happened? Somebody believed in him. And even though he wasn't doing anything good at the time, that's what made him become the great tzaddik. He saved the Torah. His Talmidim were Meir. Anybody else? 5. Rabbi Lazar, Rabbi Huda, Shem Bar Chai, and the Rebbe. Sure. He only became worth something because some woman, had the wisdom and the foresight to invest in his potential. Powerful. That's what Rebbe Kiva said. Shali v'shalachem shalahi. Shalahu. Everything that's mine it's all yours. Us, mine, and yours is hers. Why? Because he would have been 50, 60, 70, 80, the same Rebbe Kiva who was not interested in learning, who said, I'm going to bite a Talmud Chacham. Reb Chaim added, this is true, experience has proven, that if somebody thinks he's a nobody, that this is the way that he will end up. When somebody comes to somebody who feels like a nobody and says, I believe in you, even though they're not doing anything now to deserve it. I believe in you. I'm willing to be embarrassed for you. I'm willing to spend more money than I ever had for you. I'm willing to give up the world for you. I believe in you. I believe in you. I see you're good. Look what could happen. Look what could happen. From the worst, 40 years Amaretz, and he hated Talmid Chacham, he hated Torah, he was anti. And look what happened. How can you imagine becoming Gadol Adar and being Rebbe Kiva? Ami Living, 9/25/19, page 88. When Maran was asked how to deal with a rebellious student, he advised that instead of rebuking or punishment, the Anhala should go to the opposite extreme, and they should win the child over with pleasant tools of warmth and compassion. He added, although our Chachamim said, Smol doicha v'yimin mekarev, that the left hand should reject, push away, and the right hand should draw near, Reb Chaim Zatzal, Zchus Yogan Aleinu, said, in this day and age, both hands have to be mekarev. Lasei Simun Ulechanich Ba'ahava, page 121. If you see a son that does not learn well with his father, but does learn successfully with others, this is because his father is so concerned that his son will succeed that he's approaching him with too much pressure and force. Whereas the other person focuses on creating a pleasant relationship first and praises the boy. Right? The father sits down and it's all pressure. Lulu's learn. The other guy, he wants to get paid. Let's say he's getting paid, or he wants him to like him. So he's like, oh, hi, Maishi, what's doing? How's it going? There's a little bit of friendliness. He praises him. He makes him feel, oh, very good. There's much more positivity from this other guy, says Reb Chaim. And this is usually caused, again, he says the similar thing, by parents who are tzaddikim. And they so much want their children to be tzaddikim that they're intense about it. They have anxiety about it. So it comes out on the kid. Out of love, out of concern. But what does the kid feel? It pushes him away, makes him stop, makes him lose his interest. It's not like licking honey. How do you say in Yiddish? Lecking honey? Yeah? Right? And Torah, that's to a child, and maybe to adults also, but to a child that's not sweet, so then I'm not interested in it. So Nebuch, these parents that are tzaddikim, that all they want, they're ruining their own their own nachas. They're ruining their own lives because they're going to have agmas nefesh. Reb Chaim added, parents have to understand you cannot be mechanech children with pressure. And if you pressure them and force them, you achieve the opposite of your desired result, and the child will not want to learn and daven. Irgun Lev Shemea. Maran was asked whether Avrechim should go out in the evenings to help Bachrim who needed it. But they were concerned, similar question, but different, they were concerned leaving their wives and children at home at a time when they would usually be home would be to the detriment of their own children. They were worried about their children not having their father at home. Reb Chaim answered, if they're doing it l'shem mitzvah, for the mitzvah of helping others, no harm will befall them or their families as a result. Shluchei mitzvah enim nezakim. Sefer Teres Chaim, page 110, quoted in Praying with Fire by Rabbi Heshi Kleinman, page 66. A man asked her, Rabbi Yaakov Yisrael Kנייbsky, Zatzal, known as the Stipler Goin, for a bracha to see Yiddish nachas from his children. And the Stipler replied, to see Yiddish nachas you must daven. Until this very day, I still daven for my Chaim's success. Incredibly, this episode occurred when his son, Maran Tsar HaTorah Reb Chaim Kנייbsky Zchus Yagen Aleinu, was already 52 years old. 52 years old, and his father says, I'm crying tears. I daven for my son Chaim's success every single day. Reb Chaim, Reb Shmuel David Friedman's Shlita brings down the story that Reb Chaim asked his father, the Stipler. We don't find any specific tefillah in Shemona Esrei to daven for good children. So when in Shemona Esrei do you daven for me? The Stipler answered that we say in Moedim, L'doir v'doir noidel lecha u'nesaper tehillosecha. From generation to generation, we thank you and we relate to your praise. Stipler said, this is where I daven, that I should merit to have future generations that will thank and praise Hashem. Obviously, we should all learn from this, that this is a place, L'doir v'doir, as soon as I heard this, I started davening also. We should all daven. If it worked for the Stipler, he said this is the place to daven. We should all concentrate on these words. When we reach these words, we should beg Hashem to merit having Erlich Chadairis that will thank and praise Hashem. Reb Melech Biederman Shlita says in Bera Parsha, it is well known that in his youth, Maran Reb Chaim Kנייbsky, Zchus Yagen Aleinu, did not succeed to his full potential while learning Be'iyun, the in-depth style of the Lamzha Yeshiva, where they would spend an entire semester learning just a few pages of Gemara. Did you know that? He was not matzliach. So his father, the Stipler, realized that his son was more suited to learn at a faster pace, Bekiyas, and he encouraged young Chaim to learn according to his inborn natural tendencies, Alpi Darkoi. But this was a big chiddush, because to tell a kid, we're talking about the Gadol Adar, the Stipler, the Gadol Adar's son, to get out of the yeshiva system and to go on his own and to learn Bekiyas, shvach. I mean, I learned in Philly, and my father was not the Stipler, and I'm not the Chaim. But even in Philly, we wanted to learn faster, but we knew that's already Sug Beis, you know. You're not going to be part of the learning 4 blot of Yavamis over a winter, or 6 blot, I don't want to exaggerate, 6 blot of Yavamis over a winter's man. You're shvach, you're never going to get married, you're not going to have a shidduch. So you see over here the guts that it took. Even though this style of learning was considered second rate in the yeshiva world, he still did not pressure his son to conform to the predominant learning style. A smaller father would have told his son, pressure, stick with it, you'll enjoy it, the sweetness will come, you want to get married, it's not good for the family, all kinds of terutzim. But not the Stipler. And in the end, his strategy was pretty good. It was pretty successful, yeah? The entire Klal Yisrael is zeicha to have the benefit of Maran Tsar HaTorah Reb Chaim Kנייbsky. Zchus Yagen Aleinu. What's interesting from an educational perspective, adds Reb Melech Biederman, is that in addition to having the vast encyclopedic knowledge of the entire Torah at his fingertips, he also shined in the category of lamdanos as well. His great success is thanks to the vision of his great and very wise father. And I would add, humble. It takes a certain anava to be able to do this. The Stipler, who understood this child's nature and did not pressure him to conform to societal norms just for the sake of fitting in and sticking with the mainstream, but rather he supported this specific child's inborn capabilities and boosted his God-given talents. This incredibly bold chinuch move enabled this Reb Chaim to become even greater than his father as the Stipler himself wrote in an introduction to Reb Chaim's Sfarim. So if he would have just given up the iyun, and he would have become the encyclopedic brain in Bekiyas, dayenu. And if not, we could have lost everything. But not only did he have this Bekiyas, but in iyun also he was a Gadol Hadar. A family that came to me about their kip son, who was suicidal and off the derech, sent in their uncle for a bracha. This is a familiar story from Reb Chaim. Yeah, oh, they're here. I just don't want. Hang on. You want to be on video? No. So let me do it. They're here though, so you can see if I'm saying it correctly. The uncle. So Reb Chaim said, "Refuah Shalema." The uncle replied, "What about Yiras Shamayim? Can the Rav give a bracha that he should be chayzer b'tshuva?" Correct? And Reb Chaim replied, "This is chayla nefesh, refuas hanefesh, refuas haguf." This means that it's so amazing. Reb Chaim could have said, "Oh, yes, he should get better, and he should also do tshuva." Reb Chaim looked at this as a machla. Someone has cancer, you don't say, he should be chayzer b'tshuva. So he should have a refuah shalema, of course he'll be chayzer b'tshuva. He didn't agree to give a bracha for the spiritual salvation because it seemed obvious to him that there's no reason for that. These kids are emotionally sick. If he has a refuah shalema, he will get better baruchnis. He doesn't have any spiritual machla. I always say that. They don't have a spiritual machla. They have an emotional machla, psychiatric machla, whatever they're going through that's causing all of this. And Reb Chaim, you see, in his great wisdom, he could have just said buha, right, for that. No. He explained more words. Every letter counted. He said, no. Das is chayla nefesh. Refuas nefesh, refuas haguf. It doesn't have anything to do with Yiddishkeit. Another true story. Did I say it correctly? Thank you. True story. Parents came to me for guidance about their son who was severely depressed and left the path of Yiddishkeit. After a few years of following my guidance, we had a lot of siyata d'shmaya. Their son became functional and happy. And finally the day came that he was getting married, Kadas Moshe Yisrael, in a regular hall. A few days before the wedding, the parents told me, "We've been following your advice long enough to know that the most important thing for our son's future and his stability and his success to build a Bayis Ne'eman B'Yisrael is for him to feel completely accepted and for him to feel the strength of being a part of our family. But we have a problem." I'll never forget this. It was such an interesting, only TP parents come up with this question. We have a problem. All the men in their family wear a black hat. And we're very concerned that this son, even though he was everything great, getting married, Kadas Moshe Yisrael, he's not going to wear a black hat. So at his wedding, he's going to be like the black sheep in the family. Well, not the black hat, the opposite of the black hat in the family. And therefore, it would be terrible for him that at his own wedding, he's the one sticking out, being the different one, the shvach one, the weak one, the one who didn't make it like everybody else. At his own wedding should be the greatest night of his life. You're going to take a picture and it's going to look like a bunch of charedim together with a waiter. Right? So this is how they were thinking. We're making him feel bad by us, even though it's just us being us, but we don't want him to feel bad, to be the different one. We don't want him to have that feeling in any way, shape, or form. And then they shocked me. So we're thinking, in order for him to feel that he's not any less chashuv than the rest of the family, we should all not wear our hats to his wedding. Can you imagine? And the father says, I know that people are going to wonder, what happened over here? This guy was a chashuv, ben Torah, he was a balkaira, he was a gabbai in a shul, he's going to have people who know him his whole life, and he's going to walk down the chuppah without a hat? What? Oh, okay, yeah, interesting, okay. Okay, so he said, I know that people are going to wonder why I am under my son's chuppah without a hat, but that's not what's important to me. I don't care what people say. This is what I'm thinking. The most important thing for us is that our son has the best chance to live a happy and successful Yiddish life, and feeling that he is a complete success and equal to us will help him achieve that. Absolutely amazing. What an einfall, what an idea. This very chashuv, yeshivish, middle-aged man was willing to walk his child down to the chuppah without a hat and spend the whole night, and he was asked, he mentioned it to his sons and his sons-in-law, all yeshiva guys, and they all agreed. They said, if that's what you want, Tati, if that's what you feel is best for him, we will do that. Isn't that nice? There used to be something called Kibbud Av V'Em. It's a lost art. They all said, it's your child. If you feel this is best for our brother, our brother-in-law, we'll do it. They didn't fight him. Okay? And they would all leave their black hats home for the entire evening. I told them, even though I'm very impressed with their level of sensitivity to help their son, it's out of my pay grade. And they need to ask Das Torah. So they posed this question to Maran, Sar HaTorah, Reb Chaim Kנייbsky, Zchus Yagan Aleinu. Reb Chaim advised them to wear their hats only to the chuppah and for benching, but not for the rest of the wedding. Amazing, right? Chuppah is chuppah, okay? And benching, okay, it's a mitzvah say in the Torah, it's whatever. But Reb Chaim understood that's the minimum, and it would have been fine. It means by the shmorg, no hats, right? After the chuppah, first dance, no hat. In between, no hat. Benching put on, it would have accomplished the same thing. The kid would have felt equal, they would have gotten it. And okay, you guys like to put on your hat for the few minutes. It would, brilliant, right? But a chiddush. But he understood that even though Haredi weddings, right? He lived in Bnei Brak. He was pretty frum. Nobody goes throughout the wedding without your hat on. But that's an extra. Give up the extra. Chuppah is a chuppah, benching is a benching, the rest is a chum or a whatever you want to call it, right? That you give up. So amazing that he understood that. He understood the reasoning behind their special request, and he determined, the Sar Torah, Gadol Adar, determined the potential to help this child was more important than maintaining the proper standard of yeshivish attire where it isn't absolutely necessary. All the men in the family agreed to discreetly take their hats off for the wedding. They're going to take it off. They're just going to put it on by the chuppah and take it off. Fine. And they didn't mention anything to the chassan. Why? Because if they would have told the chassan, it would have ruined the whole thing. What are they going to tell them? We're all going to go down, be yared from our godless, and to make you feel good. It would ruin the whole thing. So they didn't say anything. They just made up among themselves, we're not going to wear hats. We'll put it on by the chuppah. We'll take it off afterwards. We'll put it on for benching. Nothing was mentioned to the chassan. Listen to this. Literally, on the way to the wedding hall, the chassan told his father something that was completely unexpected. He tells his father in the car, on the way to the chassan hall, I think I want to wear a black hat under my chuppah. They went to the hat store, which was fortunately right near the wedding hall, Bancroft, and they picked out a black yeshivish hat. Why do you want to wear black? Could have worn blue, gray. No, black hat under the chuppah. And indeed, he matched his family for the wedding. The guy asked him, he's trying on a hat. He says, oh, what's this for? He says, my wedding. He said, well, very nice. When's the wedding? He said, in 15 minutes. Wow. So, what is this, a moifis? It's something weird, something interesting. I feel that the fact that the entire family truly wanted him to appear on equal footing and were willing to go out of their comfort zone to help their brother, and they did everything that they could do according to Das Torah. So then that's what somehow caused the chassan to subconsciously come up with an idea which was way out of, this is totally not where he was holding, out of his comfort zone to compensate for the part that they couldn't do for him. They went ahead and they were giving up 90% of the wedding they were going to go, and the other 10% that they were going to wear their hats, he then put it on, so that way they were always together. Kamayim apanim lepanim, kain lev ha'adam la'adam. They wanted to be on equal footing with him, and somehow this clicked in his brain without knowing it. Without knowing it, that seems to be the logical idea of what happened, but probably Reb Chaim had something to do with it also. Maybe that's why he told him to, I don't know. It's just an unbelievable story. But we see how Reb Chaim was sensitive. He wasn't this like, no, don't go down, you should all go down from your godless for one guy. No, there's none of this kanoi stuff. And it was just glat, as Torah, do everything you can, and you can still be you when you need to be. Before coming to me for guidance, Rabbi Morgenstern asked Marna Reb Chaim for a bracha. The Rav blessed him with the following 3 words: bracha v'hatzlacha b'tipul. Now we all know Reb Chaim said buha because every word, every letter was energy from him. Bracha v'hatzlacha, he added the word tipul. What's a tipul? TP. Very good. Tipul is a treatment. When someone, Rahman al-Islam, goes for chemo, it's a tipul, it's a treatment method. He understood that coming here is not just coming for some advice. He understood what we're doing, what you are doing, is a tipul. We are doing a therapy, tipul, a treatment method on saving our children by trying to heal their broken essence from the inside. Ultimately, everything that you do for him, with him, and to him is a treatment to heal their inner pain and eventually lead him or her to have incredible courage to try and rebuild their lives from the inside out. And that's why, Baruch Hashem, we have good success in this tipul. But Reb Chaim saw with his Ruach HaKodesh that what you're doing, you're not just getting advice, and you're not just going along with it. And people summarize TP, you give them whatever they want. It's a tipul. That's what Reb Chaim saw in Shemayim. It's a tipul. This is a treatment method. But finally, there's a family that went, before coming here, they went to Reb Chaim Kנייbsky for a bracha, and he told them 4 things. Keep your daughter at home. The second thing was about the other kids. Don't worry about them being affected negatively. Daven for them, and they'll be fine. The third thing he said, listen to whatever Avi says. And the fourth thing he said was, Irvet noch zen nachas von sie. You will yet see nachas from her. The Eibush is a helfen that they should have it, and you should all see nachas from all of your children. But I think it's totally in number 3. It's totally in number 3. You have to listen to whatever I say. Then it came number 4. But we're doing a tipul. This is a drop in the bucket of what the world got from Reb Chaim, but it helps us out a lot. We can learn a lot of these lessons, and we should apply it to our children. Yehei Zichrei Baruch.